Hello there everyone and welcome back. I mentioned I was going to do a little bit more of the Space Marines, and I think I'm going to delve into the 6 cruiser fleet, as I again kind of hinted at. Although this might be a little more trickier since I am kind of willingly foregoing not using the Mark III's, the Prowl Lance variant, since I enjoy the torpedoes that much, and of course it also limits me since this fleet's also kind of affordable enough to allow for a frigate if I so wished. Or hell, probably what you see is a variation half and half of like Mark 1s and then a handful of Lance strike cruisers to at least encompass that little bit of protection, versatility, and of course a little bit of fission. But in this case, I'm going to be utilizing the torpedoes because again, I love my torpedoes there. I like to think it offers really good versatility since these are the only prow weapons that also enable me to do boarding. Never mind the tracking element where they chase down the ships, allow me to kind of use them at a long distance as well. Very unlikely that they're going to connect in most circumstances, but it allows that versatility so I don't really have to commit as much. The downside of course is my lack of vision, which does honestly make me wonder if I should be exclusively using the auger probe. But disruption bomb can be really impactful to enable the bombardment cans to start doing some damage and some critical hits, so I'm really going to have to think on that. I don't know how effective this fleet will be at this point since they used to be the cheapest of the strike cruisers originally, and then they kind of swapped positions almost in the literal sense, because I think the torpedo variant was 188 points and the Lance variant was 194. But there's still merit to the Lances because apparently they are the most prevalent, or at least the most popular of the Space Marine fleets I've seen. Only thing is, I don't recall when's the last time I even got up against Space Marines, so that may not be saying a whole lot considering that situation. Either way, I'm going to dive into this, I'm going to try my luck. And if we could get some amazing torpedo combos in, obliterating ships, then that's really what you're here for, right? Get to watch the spectacle. Alright, we're starting off with the big one, and I'm paying attention, this is the merchant fleet. So, the good news, they have really bad boarding, you would think anyway, but if this opponent is doing the 6 cruiser fleet, one of those variants has a really good number of crew on them, as opposed to everything else, so I may still have difficulty just breaking them through boarding alone, at least crippling them to the point where I can take advantage of it. Although, this is the tricky predicament on what do I prioritize. Kulex's Assassin can be really good here when I break the deck, but destroying the engines allows me to have a really easy time destroying with torpedoes because of, well, I gotta remember, it's the protector fleet that has the low hit point count. Not so much the merchant fleet. So maybe I'm completely wrong on what I'm theorizing, so maybe I don't want to prioritize on the engines so much. But without a doubt, if I can't manage the secret missiles, I'm in a lot of trouble. Now, I'm wondering about disruption bomb. Destroy their shields so I could start hitting them with the bombardment cannons, at least early on, because the amount of shields that they'll probably have is going to take a while. Because the hero also has 400 shield hit points too, so it's pretty durable, and once it's down, disruption overcharge can permanently keep that down. Plasma bomb, I don't expect that to do anything until I break their engines. Beacon and the tarot can be useful. So I think I'll stick with this. Although getting fission early is going to be really tricky. Nope, this is a bit of a mixed up fleet, so... And I didn't even pay attention to where the dang objectives were. So... I think I go half and half. Prioritize decks on what I'm most likely to engage. And there's a lot of cruisers apparently.
I'm listening.
I'm wondering if that's an indication. Well, one of them at least is a battleship, and I'm assuming this is a battleship here. It's just a question of seeker missiles. But from my count, we're looking at 5 capital ships.
Give us
I
purpose.
think, although we'll have to pay
The
attention to that
enemy
later.
has seized a strategic area.
And there's not much point to launching the fighters yet, because, well,
All power to engines.
I could launch fighters here and reveal a handful of these ships. And then maybe boring torpedoes could be useful, but we'll see. Because I revealed myself, so I'm not seeing seeker missiles or even fighters.
Where shall we strike?
So they may not be privy to how to
Engines engaged.
set up their fighters for as seeker missiles. Even though technically, Space Marines are probably one of the better factions to deal with Tau seeker missiles because they go the same speed as their missiles, and as a reminder, their fighters are actually
engaged.
slower than the seeker missiles. And with good use of a stasis bomb, I could just shoot them down at long range over time. I'm just really vulnerable to their railgun fire though, without some
Moving to
really
position.
diligent use
The
of my
enemy has
boosters.
seized a strategic area. You have seized a strategic area.
And they know how to hide themselves in the asteroid belt at least, but they're still going to get revealed, but that's not going to mean much,
stand
let's be
ready.
honest, if they stay there for long periods of time.
Enemy in sight.
Okay, so they're just Demiurge. 3 Demiurge. 4 Demiurge.
Engines engaged.
So this is valuable intel, but it's a shame I can't punish them very
Give us
well.
purpose.
Because that's also a lot of
Moving to
fighters that they
position.
have. Oh. Experimental railgun did not hit,
We stand ready.
but I know what the hell I'm staying away
Where
from.
we are needed.
So I'm
I'm
assuming
listening.
this is the Watercast Ambassador, maybe?
Repositioning.
I'm gonna go with that assumption. And as soon as they boost, maybe I'll prompt
Where shall we
to
strike?
try some
Rearm.
boarding torpedoes on them, at least to force them to do something about it.
Show us the enemy.
But keep them at
Underway.
arm's length is the simple plan while I prepare to somehow engage the rest of their fleet. And these are frigates, right? So
I am listening.
not much I can do about
Underway.
them until they reveal themselves or I identify them through other means.
To where we are needed.
But my fighters are about to dock, and I
Where
can
shall
use
we
them
strike?
to maybe do something about the fighters here, or frigates.
Give us purpose.
Because they're refusing an assault run. I thought maybe they were doing that properly, but
I
Nope.
am listening.
I would love to just boarding torpedo them. Probably a terrible idea, but
Where shall we strike?
because of the angle I'm firing from.
Enemy
Yeah,
in sight.
well, that was a
Show us the
blunder.
enemy.
If they keep them visible, then
We stand
that's
ready.
still enough boarding damage to kind of wreck them.
At your command.
Although, I still would like to hunt these things down while I have a
Give us
window.
purpose.
And they're grouping up, so they're going to be a pain in the ass, but
Show us the enemy.
You have seized a strategic area.
I don't think I have to worry just yet.
Moving to position.
Ah, dang it.
Give us
I'm about
purpose.
to run out of combustion gauge, so
Our wrath cannot be denied.
fire the railguns, do what you need to.
We stand ready.
While we're killing the crew really quick, wow.
Underway.
It's like I said, they don't have the
Source the
best
enemy.
crew capacity with these ships.
All power to engine. Engines engaged.
So kill off the crew there, boring torpedoes aren't going to do much,
I am
but...
listening. Repositioning.
So that was 2 shots there. We can deal with the bombers easily enough. Now I just gotta get fission.
At your command.
And Demiurge are right there, so that's gonna
Give
be
us
tricky to
purpose.
do.
Hold course.
And this is the one with secret missiles, keep in mind too.
Moving to position.
Because those Demiurge lances are gonna
Source the
mess me
enemy.
up.
Engines engaged. I am listening. Hold course.
Can we at least shoot these down a decent amount? Because there's only 4 secret missiles.
We stand ready.
Yeah, if I don't do something, the lances of the Demiurge alone are gonna wreck me.
You
And that's
have
gonna be a bit
accumulated
of a problem.
25% of strategic points.
I am listening. Enemy in sight. To where we are needed.
Come on, please turn. Because your evasion is really damn important right now.
At your command. Halt advance.
I am getting boarding in, so that's something, but...
That is impossible.
Ah, dang it, you used up all your combustion gauge. That's unfortunate. But let's make it not worth it then.
25% of strategic points.
Underway. Where shall we strike?
Because the deck's gone there.
Moving to position.
I should just prioritize the deck on all of them for that reason.
Enemy in sight.
Because until they use a rally, that's not going to do them much good.
Boarding caused critical damage. Engines engaged.
Although, sadly, the amount of boarding I did is just going to kill off the crew, so... Realistically, I should just murder this thing right now for that reason.
Moving to position. Repositioning.
Fire assaults, deck destruction, that should be enough there.
Boarding caused critical damage. Show us the enemy.
And those boring torpedoes and fighters are probably not going to do much.
Boarding successful.
But Drifting Hulk,
Full speed.
self-destruct there, that's fine. It's already dead.
Hold course.
And sadly, point defense and fighters are not going to do a lot just yet, but... I think we're okay, maybe.
Boarding successful.
There, 7
We
boarding
stand
results.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
That I can live with for now. And with the
Repositioning.
engines temporarily disabled on this one, I would love to try and prompt that for destruction.
Boarding caused critical damage.
Can I destroy a deck and that would lead... With a lightning strike from the Kulex's assassin, that would cripple it, but I need an opportunity to... Well, I can lightning strike it. Its shields that just went down after all, so...
At your command.
Force that the mutiny, and you have the ambassador? No, you do not.
Brothers.
Alright, so we know what to do here.
Where shall we strike?
That is out of the fight.
Where shall we strike?
And
Hold
actually,
course.
just fire more boring torpedoes and
Ready.
be rated. And now I think we just disengage and deal with the frigates while they
Show us the enemy.
deal with the loss of their flagship and hopefully
All power
a
to
very
engines.
useless Demiurge ship.
To where we are needed.
I think is what I want to try and do here.
Initiate Thunderhawk bombardment.
Although they're going to be pretty slow, but let's regroup everything because that's the opportunity I have here. That's just going to lose this crew, so maybe that's not very helpful. But prioritize the engine.
Our wrath cannot be denied.
Make it never be able to use its cutting laser.
I am listening.
Yeah, so that is basically useless so long as I don't screw up. That's always the caveat, isn't it?
Full speed.
And actually, just grab these points.
Underway.
You have very easy means to do that. Just gotta watch my combustion gauge and we can have our 3 points to keep this going.
Engines engaged.
In our advantage, although I say that,
Engines engaged.
and I was talking about how I can't screw up.
Underway.
Although, I worry a little
The
bit
enemy
that
has
something may have
accumulated
bugged,
50% of strategic points.
if I am perfectly honest right now.
We stand ready.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic
Okay, they're running,
points.
that's fine. I'm just gonna fire boring
Where should we
torpedoes on them.
strike?
Which one is the boring torpedoes? Because I don't want to hit
Where we are
myself,
needed.
which I'm probably about to do.
Where shall we strike?
Let's see.
At your command.
Try to figure out if I should gauge them while spread out like this.
We
Because
stand ready.
if I had 2 boarding ships, this would be, well,
You have seized a strategic area.
that keeps them at bay for a time. So I'm kind of okay with that. And again, I'll still have the 3 points. Bombers did their thing.
At your command.
And we're about to board and finish these off, because boarding torpedoes did their thing too.
Critical damage. Repositioning.
Oh, and they
The
have
enemy
a,
has seized a
not a
strategic
messenger,
area.
but whatever. Oh, it is a messenger, okay. Oh no, it's a defender, that's what it is. Never mind.
Show us
I'll
the
figure
enemy.
this out
You
eventually.
have seized a strategic area.
Now let's see where they go. Because you're the crippled... No, there's the 2 ships there. That's fine.
I am listening.
Just go grab the points, you go reinforce.
Moving to position. Repositioning
And I can board you pretty well.
to where we are needed.
Just gotta be mindful of the dang cutting laser. Which they burnt more of it than me, so I can outrange them.
At your command.
I would just like to continue boarding them though. It's the only
Moving to
catch.
position. Halt advance.
I don't think I'm getting it though. And I'm doing a terrible job controlling this at the same time.
All power to engines. Underway.
Yeah, you should be able to dodge that. Split the damage, that's fine.
Boarding successful.
And actually I have lightning...
Stand ready.
Do I have lightning strike? No, I just boarded, so I don't have lightning strike for a while.
Engines engaged.
But you're pretty useless now.
Give us purpose. Moving to position.
Now let's see, can we deal with you?
Repositioning.
Because you should be supporting ages ago. Again, I'm doing a terrible job controlling this.
Where shall we strike?
So,
The enemy has
and they just
seized
have
a
no crew, so that's
strategic area.
limping.
Underway.
And any good critical hit will force that to not be able to do anything too.
Underway.
Oh, they have Nikasar as well, interestingly.
To where we are needed.
So just board that, kill the other crew off,
Show us the enemy.
and then just grab the objectives finally.
All power to engines.
Because that's going to take them ages.
Full course.
In fact, I should be splitting these 2 up. In all seriousness.
At your command.
Okay, I was wondering if I actually board the damn thing or not, because I did not see any boarding results or assault boats.
Engines engaged.
So you just go.
I am listening.
I almost did it again, dang it.
Full speed.
You have accumulated.
You go grab that.
75% of
The
strategic
flagship's
points.
gone. It should have been gone ages
Show us
ago.
the enemy.
And just
Redirecting.
destroy these ships at this point.
Underway.
Because we can.
Hold course. Where shall we strike? Moving to position.
Alright, we got this going now.
We stand ready.
Your fighters aren't going to mean much, but they still have a cutting laser, so let's be cautious of that.
Purpose. To where we are needed. Repositioning.
Alright,
Where shall we strike?
so that works for me.
Possible.
And I should just straight up be more mobile than you. Although those are bad torpedoes, aren't they? Nope, they're good. He ran a combustion gauge at a really bad time.
Boarding successful.
The enemy has accumulated 75% of strategic points.
There, mutiny on you, you're out of the equation. And then we just board this one, and that's all she wrote.
Hold
We are
course.
golden. Do I even have lightning strike? I don't think I do. Okay, never mind. I take that back. I was hitting the wrong button like an idiot.
Teleport attack successful.
Okay. Those demiurge are still terrifying without a doubt, with that cutting laser, but thankfully, we sort of managed it well. It's really hard to gauge, because it almost feels like with Demiurge that if I get within cutting laser range, I should be dead. It feels like I made a terrible mistake no matter what. Oh, and they're just slightly short of their dang water caste ambassador. So, or not ambassador, but diplomat, I guess. Not that it would have been significant, I guess, once the flagship was out. Because we did force it out. It probably would have meant they wouldn't have burned that rally, though, on the very first Demiurge I managed to cripple, which could have made a big difference for that fight. Alright, this is interesting. Basically an hour difference since my last match, and we get a rematch with our opponent. Oops, I did not mean Alt-Tab, I apologize there. I just instinctually Alt-Tabbed to see what time it actually was. Since I did take a bit hop off of Battlefleet Gothic to kind of help encourage different opponents. But this is still a scary fleet if they know how to utilize their Demiurge. That remains to be seen still, but they could even be using a different fleet because they are still using the merchant fleet, so that much is certain. I want to try and grab the objectives a little more efficiently this time. And I may not even need the reload stance, but it's there nonetheless. And then otherwise, I think we just do the same thing we did before. Just avoid the Demiurge as much as possible, although I'm terrified about the lances quite a bit, since with my low shield my low shield hit points rather, those are a really damn good weapon against me, since even trying to screen or use my... Ooh, excuse me again, dang it. Using my airships to kind of soak the shots, it's still going to take like no time at all for them to take the shields down, so I get like nothing out of it. Because it works really well with the other fleets, because if they rely heavily on their lances, then I basically can just... Yeah, the shields will basically recharge by the time they take out the shields of another vessel normally. Oh god.
To where we are needed.
What the heck's going on here? I feel like you should have traveled a little bit more.
The enemy.
What?
Full speed.
Oh, this is not good. I'm noticing the lag hitching a little bit. It's not even on my end, so I don't know what to make of this.
Show us the enemy.
Because I feel like my strike cruiser should have made that objective by now. Doing the full boosters as long as I did.
Underway.
Even if they don't have a move order, the all-head full is still going to kind of override that, as we've seen plenty of times in my last battle.
A strategic area.
So, I do want to prioritize engines on some of them, because I'm not going to have the cool access to attack, or at least force a mutiny out of all of them.
Underway.
So when I can deny, there means to... I am wondering if I just try and bomb them, but the speed might be more important.
Repositioning.
You just get on over there, hopefully you can reinforce and see if we could deal with these before
I am listening.
that dang...
At your command.
I probably should switch the reload stance and not worry about lock-on though.
Rearm.
I was really thinking about lock-on to kind of have the additional range. But I think we're okay. We're still going to be able to shoot these ships pretty well.
Give us purpose.
And hopefully we can use this as an opportunity to do this a little more efficiently.
Enemy in sight.
I just gotta be mindful
Hold course.
which is the flagship, because ideally
Full speed.
I don't want to use my Kulex's assassin on a frigate.
Strike quickly, brothers.
And my opponent sadly is not using their silent running either, which doesn't really do him a whole lot of favors as well, but that frigate's dead if they just burnt the scanner pulse. Fire torpedoes. This time I'm not gonna whiff it like a terrible player,
To where we are needed.
because that's been known to happen, and maybe I can lightning strike a bit more here. So they got their hits there. Now I just want to force this thing to run or deal with it.
Moving to position. Halt advance.
Enemy in sight.
All power to engine. Moving to position.
I really want to collect this assassin save later,
Stand
but
ready. Tech Marines, calm the machine spirits.
let's see.
To where we are needed.
Actually, we could... Oh, we got some really good boarding on it anyway, so I think we're golden.
Critical damage.
So maybe we could just kill off the crew entirely.
Underway. I am listening.
All power to
Now just kill the Nikasar. Get ready for
Attack successful.
the fleet here. And a mutiny is still going to be caused, at least, because they just repaired that.
Where shall we
I'm
strike?
hoping. I'm hoping I can quickly hit the deck. Yep, there.
Be denied. Repositioning.
I am on reload stance.
halt advance.
I want to board the hell out of this, because this is a good opportunity for it. Especially with the fighters.
We stand ready. Engines engaged.
And they are going to bomb me, but hopefully that's not going to do a lot of damage. But I need the rest of my cruisers to kind of help
At your
support.
command.
Oh, I did way too much boarding, apparently. So they could just easily reactivate that.
Hold course.
Boarding successful.
Yeah, I'll force a mutiny out of that in a moment.
Underway. Halt advance. Give us purpose. Full speed. Hold course.
Alright.
Enemy
Our boarding torpedoes didn't really do crap, sadly.
Our rock cannot be denied.
But, let's see.
Show us the enemy.
Yeah, and that's just gonna die. Okay, so I think we're golden there on that front, but...
All power to engine. Where shall we strike?
And let's see, you get one last hurrah there. Can we kill this
Boarding cause
cruiser?
critical damage.
Sadly, shields are gonna come up a little bit too late.
Moving to position. Give us purpose.
Flagship sadly is gone. But with their ships as cripples they are, I think we're okay for a bit.
full speed. Engines engaged.
Just keep crippling them. In fact, I should try to prioritize something a little more valuable. Can I kill the ship? Because it has too much morale. They're limping. They're easy to kill.
I am listening.
I think we're golden. Ideally, just do not ram with this ship, though. Could be tricky to do because of the angle.
Halt advance.
Ah, dang it. My point defense did crap.
Show us the enemy.
I was hoping to get more torpedoes in, but that was a missed shot.
What's the enemy?
But here's what's not a miss. 2 torpedo broadsides on you.
Halt advance.
And they reactivate the flagship, so that's fine.
For impact.
And let's actually brace for impact,
Moving
because
to position.
my point defense is a little underwhelming.
All power to engines.
There are only 2 bomber squadrons, but they're still surviving surprisingly long.
Repositioning.
But let's see, 2 of their ships are out. I just gotta board you for that to really
Hold
matter.
course.
And I gotta watch my combustion gauge, so how is combustion gauge on everything?
Full speed.
So one of them are likely
Underway.
gonna be... Let's,
Redirecting. Hold course.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
okay, so that might be a lot of damage, but I think we're okay.
Repositioning.
I just wish I had more combustion gauge though, because
Where shall we
otherwise I
strike?
can't really fire torpedoes.
Boarding successful.
Not in the way I would like.
All power to engine.
At your command.
Come on, torpedoes.
Our wrath cannot be denied.
Perfect.
50% of strategic points.
Now, just finish boarding.
Give us purpose.
Much more decisive.
At your command. Show us the enemy.
Dang it, I can't see my ships.
Ship.
I'm gonna have all these ships kind of stuck in here and I can't see crap.
You have accumulated 75%.
It's still, I still got one ship in good health though.
Underway.
So it's not gonna do him much good.
Our brothers have fallen.
I think what may have happened there, one of my ships may have been invisible or something. Because I was telling the one in back to do a high energy turn and it was not turning, even though it looked like it was not hitting anything.
Full speed.
But this is still decided regardless.
Engines engaged.
Just not what I would have liked there.
Give us purpose. At your command.
And we can easily board you, that's not going to be too difficult, or at least we can pressure you.
Where shall we strike?
And I could steal points so much more faster. Alright. I'm not happy with that just because of the self-destruction alone. Having to kill 3 of my cruisers inconveniently. Really hard to say what happened there, especially with invisibility bugs and God knows what else was happening there. I know one of them had their combustion gauge bent, so it was the one in back that was trying to high energy turn at the end. I wanted to get out of there, and sadly never happened. Alright, Imperial Navy. This could be fun, so long as they don't hit me with an absurd amount of torpedoes, that is. Because, interestingly, one of the main benefits Space Marines have going for them is probably the small profile of their strike cruisers and vanguards. It's hard to really showcase it now, because I would kind of need an Imperial Navy cruiser right next to my strike cruisers to really compare, but these ships are quite notably thinner and smaller, so they can do well at avoiding those torpedoes so long as I'm mindful about it. Now, how do I best want to deploy my fleet with that said? Because do I? I think I just go with reload for now, because I might probably just be boosting early on to get the momentum going. Since I mentioned before, way back when, that at least with the 6 cruiser fleet, I probably should be playing them more like Eldari a little bit. Although, they don't have the convenience to staying hidden is the only catch, so I'm not always going to want to do that, especially if I'm dealing with something that has long-range weaponry or a lot of lances. But the high mobility can be pretty good at dodging macro cannons, especially at a distance, until I'm ready to ideally engage. Still a question if I want a plasma bomb. That's still going to be some nice damage to help get a kill, but I should be trusting my bombs or torpedoes for that. In all honesty, I think I want to switch these around. I think I want the flagship on the side because it's a little bit safer that way. At least it's not likely to get focused down. Since it's hugging the corner, it's not going to get flanked. And then the remaining strike cruisers can kind of support some. We'll see what happens. I am the host, so latency should not be too much of an issue, but are we dealing with 3 emperors? Or there could be a lot of light cruisers. I want to try and listen for said light cruisers, I think. So we got a dictator there.
I am listening.
I don't think there's much point in launching fighters just yet. Alright. Alright, so that answers that theory. I do need to prioritize engines on some of them since it's not just battleships we're dealing with here.
You have seized a strategic area.
Underway.
You know, only 5 ships, so maybe we're dealing with some battle cruisers as well. And I can easily dodge those.
You have seized a
It's still a
strategic
question if
area.
there's a visible indication on what kind of missiles they are, or torpedoes. I really need to pay attention to if there is a way to know if they're melted torpedoes or not. And now I could just reveal them and prepare to fight them later on.
Engines engaged.
Because I'm not too worried about the beacon because I'm already kind of exposed.
Show us the enemy.
I want to reveal them, see about maybe some boring torpedoes.
Moving to position.
The enemy has seized
And I
a
can outrun
strategic
these pretty
area.
well because they have no assault crafts or no fighters to deal with them.
Hold course. To where we are needed.
And sadly, not going to reveal them just
speed.
yet. So I'm going to have to keep...
To where we are needed.
So can I dodge
We
with
stand
2 of
ready.
them? Very light damage. There
Full
is a
power
Nova
to
Can though.
engines. Underway.
Alright. So turn, evade,
Engines engaged.
and we do have vision of the battleship at least.
Moving to position. Where shall we strike?
Now, I did not pay much attention to you, but you're still going to take some hits, aren't you?
Halt advance. Where shall we strike? Full speed. Hold course.
Got good connection of torpedoes there.
Repositioning.
Now, I kind of want to just board the other ship.
Engines engaged.
Prioritize this one.
Protocols.
Actually, keep the Colexus Assassin handy.
All power to engines. Boarding caused critical damage.
I lose access to the Colexus Assassin, so
Boarding successful.
bit of a downside there, but
Show us the enemy.
nope, they just conceded well.
Boarding caused critical damage.
That was underwhelming.
Our wrath cannot be denied.
I don't know what to make of that.
Boarding
But-
successful.
I think it's safe to say they felt like they were screwed right there with the amount of boarding we were about to get on the poor fella. And they did start softening up my second squad of strike cruisers, but they were too spread out, and thankfully the stasis bomb kept them from getting a convenient high energy turn torpedo ram on my cruisers with how close range I was. But the crew was probably going to die there in a moment, since I was going to launch more boarding torpedoes on the flagship. And that should have almost guaranteed the crew's death, or at least prompt a call to arms, which means they would not have repaired the deck. And that leaves a perfect opportunity for the Colexus Assassin afterwards. I just need to somehow bring its morale down to 500 for that to force said mutiny. Okay, this is going to be interesting. More Imperial Navy. I got decent boarding damage, but it's a question of what kind of fleet we're up against now. Are we going to be dealing with heavy long-range fire? Going to deal with the ramming torpedo shenanigans? That is going to definitely prompt me to play this a little bit differently, because the lances are going to be brutal if they're concentrated any amount. Since I think I already talked about it in a previous match, I can't remember, since there may have been a few that I got rid of there that are not going to make it to the video, but with my low shield hit point pool, I can't really deflect lance fire all that great, and it's going to be a bit problematic. Especially with the how likely it might be for me to suffer critical hits and just have my ships limping at the very beginning of the match. It's going to be a very big concern, especially if I ever go up against Chaos with their lance type strategy, since they prioritize that almost exclusively, fighting at long range and just wearing down an opponent. But let's see if I can get some good torpedoes in, get some good boarding. Maybe then I'll have some good momentum for the rest of this battle. Time will tell. And actually, let me just change my formation a tiny bit, maybe, although don't lock the camera like that, please. And I kind of want to be grouped up as quickly as I can, don't I?
Where shall we strike?
Repositioning.
So 4 battleships, maybe? 4 Grand Cruisers seems more
stand ready.
likely. Especially if they're exorcists, we'll see.
Give us purpose.
And do I have a window to kind of... Well, I can identify them here with fighters, so
Stand ready.
I think that's a possibility.
Underway.
You have seized a strategic area. You have seized a strategic area.
So just go in the gas cloud, conceal yourself in case, because I'm not going to be able to freely boost like I want here.
At your command.
Is what it's looking like.
Where shall we strike?
Now I'm curious what happens here. Are they just going to turn around back into the gas
where
cloud
we
to
are
avoid
needed.
getting revealed or not? The type formation suggests that they're not battleships.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
It kind of suggests that a little.
Give us purpose.
Underway.
So just let them burn their
To
torpedoes.
where we are needed.
I am listening.
And
To where
just
we
gotta
are
pay
needed.
attention to what else might be present.
Enemy in sight.
And they are braced
Show
for
us the
impact
enemy.
stance, so
Engines engaged.
I wonder how I could take advantage of this.
I am listening.
What kind of ships are they? Armageddon's and
Where shall we
Overlords, so
strike?
this is almost their entire fleet.
At your command.
But since they have let's see. I was
Give
gonna
us
say,
purpose.
Marses are the ones that are the carrier
Hold
ships, so.
course.
But we'll
We
see what
stand
happens
ready.
here.
Halt. Advance. Hold course.
We're gonna try and see it. Well, I did reveal myself in silly fashion, but
Moving to position. Enemy in sight.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
gotta be mindful of the boarding. Although,
Hold
this is where I was a little bit worried. A little bit.
I am listening.
boarding successful.
Engines engaged.
Now, can we cripple these ships really
Where shall we
nicely?
strike? Boarding caused critical damage.
Because this sadly is not gonna work as much as I like.
Advance.
Give us purpose.
And I switched the lock on when I didn't wish
Engines
to.
engaged.
Hold course. Where we are needed.
We stand ready.
Boarding
Alright. I think this is bad stasis bomb, considering my boarding torpedoes might not connect very well.
Damage at critical levels. I am listening.
But, let's see.
That is impossible.
We can cripple them some. I don't have the engines here, sadly, but
Repositioning.
can I get behind them to make this worth it? Because torpedoes might be useful here. Although you're way too close now. I saw I burnt retros with you.
Denied.
Boarding caused critical damage.
And I'm doing a tip.
All failing.
I'm not watching, listening again, but in all honesty, it's kind of tricky to listen
Boarding successful.
with this amount of racket that we have right now.
Where shall we strike? Give us purpose. Halt advance.
Show us the enemy. Engines engaged.
And torpedoes didn't really do anything, did they?
That is impossible.
Boarding caused critical damage.
We did force a mutiny there.
I am listening.
Sadly, torpedoes are connecting. Again, I'm having a really difficult time listening for these.
Moving to position. Give us purpose.
At your command.
I am listening.
Which is really sucking for me there, a little bit.
Where shall we strike? We stand ready.
Can I at least kill the flagship? That was terrible damage, sadly.
To where we are needed.
If I could kill the flagship, that helps a ton.
Repositioning.
I don't think it's gonna happen, sadly.
All servitors and tech marine, begin repairs.
Ah, dang it.
Hold course. I'm listening.
It's one. I do kind of wish I had turned down the audio a little bit, so that way I can hear us a little bit more, but... Oh,
Show us the enemy.
can we force this to break? Although, that's not going to help. That was the wrong ship to kind of mutiny with. Or try and force a mutiny with. Yeah, I'm just not hearing the torpedoes to react to them properly. They're way too silent. It's a shame. All the racket there? And even if I turn down the ambience, it's not going to help all that much either. It was going well, it's just, again, really awkward with having the amount of lances. I'm kind of forced to engage them. There's little choice there, but my torpedoes were kind of terrible as well there. They did have brace for impact, which does do a lot when they tightly bunched up like that, which is a lot of reason I kind of need to force them to separate a bit to make the torpedoes more impactful. Otherwise, I need the fighters to kind of screen for me, which can be tricky since, again, with brace for impact, they're going to die really damn quickly. Unless I can do it so perfectly that I can have several cruisers firing torpedoes on at the same time, then that can overwhelm their point defense quite easily. Alright, orcs this time around. We got, what is it, the Death Skulls, so this will be interesting on the boarding front, but it remains to be seen what kind of ships they're using this time around. Since tracked cannon is always going to be a bit problematic, but with how easy it is to quickly hit them, the torpedoes can do absurd amount of damage, just crippling their components, but I need to connect with them, that's the catch. That is the catch. And I would like to play a more cautious game, if possible, just grab the points and wait until they overextend. It's going to be tricky though, especially with all those frigates too. Because boarding, ultimately trying to board the frigates doesn't really help me because it's taking up valuable charges I could be using against the cruisers themselves. Never mind the awkward situation I could be put in if I use the boarding and then immediately have to fight the cruisers. Then I have that down for when it probably matters most. And I kind of want to spread out my fleet a bit for said track cannon. Although, this is going to be tricky grabbing points. I wonder if there's a possibility of just splitting up. It's not going to help because the point... Let's see, if they have any fighters or that, I'm not going to really hit with boarding torpedoes very well.
Underway.
Never mind the fact, there's not much of a window for me to just boost up there. So I'm going to assume that these are light cruisers maybe. Or they could just be regular cruisers. That's a possibility.
We stand ready.
And I would like to destroy some of their weapons too. Or not weapons, but engines.
You have seized a strategic area.
Alright, just grab the points.
We stand ready.
Take our time.
Underway.
Sadly, they're just... The problem is they're going to have all those points, so... I'm going to be forced to engage them in some form.
The enemy has seized
It's
a
what it's
strategic
likely going to
area.
be. But we'll try and spraying out the fleet a bit. And I used up all my combustion gauge. Not a terrible issue for right now. And let me guess, do these have saps? Just guns on you? Guns, guns. So no saps, but they do have fighters, keep that in mind. That is going to be a pain in the ass trying to hit with torpedoes. But we can see about forcing them again to split up and spread out. Although that gas cloud is going to be really problematic to try
You have
and
seized a strategic area.
pressure that one frigate. because they can grab the point very easily.
I am listening.
And as soon as I launch torpedoes, they just launch all the fighters there, and that kind of deflects my torpedoes.
Show us the enemy.
If only I had the flagship over on the left here, I could probably reveal that.
Show us the enemy.
And I did not pay much attention to if the flagship had track cans. That's a bit of a
At your
failing.
command. Give us purpose.
But
Setting priority target.
we're going to try set to lock on and see about doing some damage at
Where shall we
range.
strike?
See about that possibility.
Repositioning.
Because my fleet can be much more stronger if I can split them up, but the trick is how to split them up.
To where we are needed.
Because what's going to happen is I'm going to get bottlenecked in this corner here at some point.
Show us the enemy. Repositioning.
Is probably what's going to happen.
I am listening.
Because I can't deny that one objective. Well, actually I could with a single cruiser, but you know they're just going to run that down pretty well, and I need to be able to punish them for it.
Where shall we strike?
Give us purpose. Moving to position.
We stand ready. Moving to position.
So this is probably a terrible idea because of how close we are to the cruisers.
Hold course.
Hopefully we can make something work
Give
of
us
this.
purpose. Repositioning.
Very unlikely because here they come now, and
The
I
enemy has seized a strategic area.
need to boost away.
To where we are needed. Halt advance.
Yeah, and as I already
I am
predicted,
listening.
they're going to launch all their fighters there.
Halt advance.
So I do have fighters to help. They burnt
Where
their
shall we
combustion
strike?
gauge, but I can't really shoot them, can I?
Repositioning.
And my fighters are not doing anything, so boring torpedoes are crap.
I am listening. Setting priority target. Underway.
Well, this is convenient.
Show us the enemy.
Halt advance. Engines engaged.
I still have boosters.
Where shall we strike? All power to engine.
I'm gonna get hit by Nova cans quite a bit. This is gonna suck a bit. Yeah, that was an absurd amount of damage. And the only problem is I can't commit any longer to this engagement because their booster's about to come back up.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
And I already saw the track can coming.
Full speed. At your command. Enemy in sight.
Underway.
Can we make this work?
Show us the enemy.
Because you're pretty much screwed right now.
All power to engines. Where shall we strike? Halt advance.
And I burnt all my combustion gauge, sadly.
I am listening.
So I'm pretty much screwed at this point.
Repositioning. Feel our might.
Because track can's about to come back up in a moment.
Engaged.
My
The
My
enemy
range
has
is not all that convenient, but
25% of strategic points.
I do have the wreckage to help some. But this is over. I tried to maybe play the positioning game, but I could not connect with boring torpedoes. And even then, they worked out poorly in this case.
Hold course.
Unfortunately.
Give us purpose.
That's this one thing I'm going to have to figure out. How to force them to split up their forces.
Halt advance.
But even then, just having all the fighters, I'm being metagamed a tiny bit, I suppose. If only a slight bit, because having 6 fighter bays, or fighter squadrons, helps a lot dealing with this boarding.
We stand ready.
The enemy has accumulated 50% of
Now.
strategic points.
This is pretty much over there, sadly. I could not outmaneuver him as much as I would like. There was a very tiny window there, but the lack of raw direct firepower did not even allow me to kill off their frigates in any meaningful manner. The only exception is maybe if I got more of them with the stasis bomb, because then they could not turn at all, and that could be pretty impactful there. Probably too late now. Ah, well. I want to try and... what is it? I want to try and outmaneuver him, but sadly, that's not possible there in that case. And the Nova Cannon did a silly amount of damage there, but it's an interesting circumstance. If I can't just straight up outrun the Nova Cannon, I'm kind of forced to stand my ground, which can be quite devastating there too. And again, that track cannon always has a risk of just screwing me over too. I would have liked to have gotten closer with my second squad, but it's not too difficult for him to just turn towards me. I don't really have that much of an issue trying to outmaneuver orcs with the Ashuriani or Chaos, but they're more about raw firepower, and they have, at least in the case of Chaos, they have better range, so that's the big factor that's hurting me, is I don't have the damage potential. Only my bombardment cannons could be useful, and they don't, well, they don't have, the frigates can dodge pretty well, and the critical hits can snowball to a quick kill once they start connecting to the frigate. But yeah, I can't rely on the broadside cannons almost at all there, sadly, since they do almost no damage on their own. So it's an awkward exchange there.